Today, President Bola Tinubu marks his 1 year in office as the President of Nigeria. In the President's first year, the infectious optimism of liberty, economic progress, security, and well-being, heralding his inauguration on May 29, 2023, would seem to have faded out among a greater majority of Nigerians. At the moment, Nigerians are expressing pain and misery as the economy continues to yield negative growth. The despair is evident in the numbers. The cost of living crisis, hyperinflation, joblessness, and the depreciation of the naira. Amidst the supercilious backslapping in government circles, poverty and bloodshed seem to be intensifying, especially the President's Subsidy is Gone pronouncement on Inauguration Day, which cancelled petrol subsidies and introduced chronic hardship as defined its tenure. Joining us now on this show is Professor Bongo Adi, a professor of economics at the Lagos Business School. Good morning, Professor Adi, and thank you for joining us in the studio.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a basic question. How will you rate President Tinubu's performance in the last 1 year?
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. Let me just be straight here. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put it at 4, which is below average. He came on riding on very high expectations from Nigerians, especially given his campaign promises and where we were coming from. The Buhari administration didn't do any, just dealt with the economy in very harsh way. So people really wanted something different. I remember speaking to this issue. I said then it wouldn't matter who became president, but the situation would be very difficult, even daunting, no matter who it was. But again, we knew that it was going to be anyway better than the Buhari administration. But right now, I don't think that many Nigerians are feeling it. I don't think that things have turned around in any meaningful way for most Nigerians. But again, I'm not sure that it is right to begin to blame the president, because given the seismic proportion of the reforms he's undertaking, it has been very bold to undertake the subsidy removal, the harmonization of the exchange rate. Those are not things that you begin to evaluate in just 1 year. So I think we need more time before we can really say that the president has done well or not on those aspects. But there are some key dimensions where I think we haven't quite paid attention, which is perception and the fact that I don't think that the president has clearly articulated what what global situation require of us in Nigeria. How should we play? Not just politics, about economy, because these days, if you follow what is going on around the world, you will see that the geopolitics and economics have changed. International economics have changed. International economic politics, honestly. You could see where the U.S. is right now. Some years back, the U.S. was a net oil importer. Today, U.S. is even exporting oil to Nigeria. So that tells you something. Some years back, U.S. was suffering from manufacturing deficit, in the sense that they had all their factories outshored to China, but now we are having a reversal. Those firms are coming back to the United States, taking advantage of cheap gas. So we have this battle, the new Cold War for gas going on. Nigeria is awash with gas. Nobody's talking about it. And then we haven't seen any sort of serious attempt on the part of government to, make some sort of a concerted plan regarding, leveraging that opportunity, which I think is the only thing we have right now. So rather than talking about what the president has done, I want to be looking at what he hasn't done. Because it's clear to me that they haven't quite really articulated the appropriate response to the kind of challenge that we have today, both locally and globally.
So let me then pose the question to you. What hasn't he done? But beyond that, today also marks the first year anniversary of that, shall I put the word iconic statement, subsidy is gone. I would like you to evaluate this. You know, what he had said was that even though it was a tough decision, it was in the best interest of the economy, and that in the long term, or at least in the medium to long term, we'll begin to see the fruits of this tough decision he had to take on Inauguration Day. Do you think that, economically speaking, that statement was made at the appropriate time and that it has been effective in terms of economic growth?
Okay, I wouldn't want to dwell on the timing of the statement, but let me dwell more on the subsidy removal. Was it a good thing? Yes, and because I read the manifestos of all the top contenders in the last election, removal of subsidy was top on the agenda of all of them. So everybody, in fact, every Nigerian wanted the subsidy gone, especially if you understood what went on behind and the kind of burden it imposed on the fiscal system. But I think the real challenge here is how the aftermath of that removal has been managed. When he spoke on that inauguration day, a year today, I think I was also on air, everybody felt that the president actually had it all worked out, that we wouldn't have a situation where, would be kind of, trial and error sort of thing. But what we've witnessed after the removal of subsidy is a kind of a situation where everybody was, kind of asking, these people, didn't seem to really prepare for this. So there wasn't really a very serious plan on how to respond to the fallouts coming from there. So where we are now seeing is a kind of where they are trying to experiment with a lot of things, and then each attempt tries to make things worse. So I think that's where the failure has been, not on whether the subsidy needed to go or not. The subsidy really needed to go. The timing may not have been, I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't want to talk about the timing, but let me talk about the responses. So from all indication, it doesn't seem there was a serious plan towards recovery and how to manage the eventual fallouts.
Let's talk about another one, the floating of the Naira, which was the last straw that broke the camel's back, that also brought attendant inflation and some other challenges as we speak in the economy. What was that all about?
Yeah, so when you talk about the floating of the currency, you have to look at the fiscal situation of the country as well. I think that's what led to that. Now, let's go back to economics a little bit. Why would a country want to maintain a fixed exchange rate? So countries in the world, especially when you have a monocultural economy, but then you have a strong revenue base, you may attempt to do that because you have social agenda, you have so many policies, public policies that you really want to achieve. So I think that is one of the motivations for having a fixed exchange rate. And then Nigeria has operated on that for a very long time because we had our revenue, our foreign exchange, foreign earning coming from oil, which the government controlled. So it made sense for them to really control the exchange rate at that point in time, meaning that they had the capacity to defend when they had surplus revenue. But then we had a situation where that basket sort of became dry. We know the reason behind all of that. The country became, I don't think we've been less productive today than in the past. But only thing is that we had sufficient oil revenue, which masks the inefficiencies in the system. So the country could continue to defend the Naira at that point in time. But then when the oil revenue disappeared, then there is nothing else anybody could do except to to allow the foreign exchange to float. And that is where we are. So it's a rational decision, and I think it works simply because they don't have the capacity to defend the Naira anymore. Okay, so we don't blame them. You can't give what you don't have. So that is the situation. That's how I read that. But then The issue here is why did we end up there? Couldn't we have looked at other options, which is we still have capacity in oil and gas. I keep saying that. I will never stop talking about that. We have the capacity to leverage that industry to boost our revenue. And it's the lowest hanging fruit. Anybody who is saying any other thing actually doesn't really understand how the system works, because I don't think there is any other thing we can compete with the rest of the world. So it would have been possible, like talking about what hasn't been done, to declare a state of emergency, they arrest oil theft and increase production. That could have helped us, okay? Given the nature of the economy, the structural imbalances in the system, having a floating exchange rate, you know, however you define it, may not be in the long-term interest of the country. So, but then we needed to have a revenue buffer in order to do that.
But why did we live to a very abysmal level of devaluation before we tried intervening in February? But even the intervention now has ceased as we speak because of the encumbrances, and we're also 1 trillion added to debt profile from the interest we have to pay for higher bond yields because we're doing open market operations. Why did we have to leave it this much with what the devaluation brought?
Yeah, so again, that's one of the things I keep, you know, it's part of what I've already said, that it doesn't seem that there was any serious response planned, you know, to address some of these issues, because they would have, you know, but again, let us not simplify it. It was a complex situation. It still remains a complex situation, and it will challenge the best of minds. So I wouldn't be saying that they haven't done the right thing. Yes, in February, they tried to intervene. But even though the CBN governor did not own it up immediately that there was any intervention anyway.
Why the lies? Why the untruthfulness?
You're asking the wrong guy. So, but anyway.
Professor Adi, I need to ask you 2 things.
Yeah.
Now, African Polling Institute, they've just come up with a survey of 1 year of Tinubu in office. And they are saying that the key realities that they have observed is hunger, poverty, and dissatisfaction among the people. And in fact, about 74% of Nigerians disapprove of President Tinubu's performance. Now, that's a survey. You can ask questions about what sampling did they use and all of that. But the other question is to ask you, personally, you are a Nigerian. You were here last year. All of us, we've been here. What are the challenges you think you have faced under Tinubu's administration? It's a personal question. It's not theory. Don't quote economics. But speak as a Nigerian.
Yeah, I'm a Nigerian. Life has become extremely difficult. I wouldn't be saying that since you asked me a personal question, so it's better that I respond personally. I had believed in Nigeria. Okay, and that's why we all left where we were and came back here, because we wanted to contribute to building up the system. But at this point in time, I'm asking myself, did I make the right decision? Okay, because every day we see things going badly. Yeah, I can survive on my own, but then we have a lot of, you know, the dependency ratio in Nigeria. So I don't think there is anybody in Nigeria who is not affected by the hunger, the state of misery that is rampaging all over the place. So I am asking myself, was that the right decision? Isn't this the right time to actually, you know, seek opportunity elsewhere? I wouldn't lie to you.
You want to Jagwa?
Last year I wouldn't consider that, but right now I'm like out of my mind, you know, staying on here.
Don't worry, even pastors are leaving Nigeria because they have bad dreams. At least one famous pastor has relocated. He said when he's in Nigeria, he and his wife are having bad dreams.
Yeah,
Go
so,
on, Prof.
You know why I'm saying that is because, you see, there is something people say. I have to be real. You ask me, I like that question. It's a personal question, so not economics anymore. I mean, it's economics. Economics is personal, it's household. You see, there's this saying that poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity anywhere.
Yeah.
So if any Nigerian is poor, if anybody is hungry, and then you are, you know, you think you are well fed, it's just a matter of time. It will get to you.
Yeah.
All right? So let us not lose sight of that. We're all going to get it sooner or later. Okay? Many Nigerians are hungry. Okay? It's just a matter of time. So you can't say, I'm insulated, I'm happy, I'm doing well. There is no such thing. If anybody's hungry, everybody's hungry. And if some people, many people, 75 people are angry, then that is something to really worry about.
Something to worry about. Okay, very quickly, according to the score sheet released by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, they scored themselves quite well in terms of handling the economy, as you would imagine. But one thing they mentioned was that these policies that we talk about this morning have boosted investor confidence in Nigeria. I see your facial expression. Do you agree with this position?
I don't agree with it. Okay. Where is investors? Where are they coming from?
How about the many deals that the president has assured Nigerians that they would come in?
Assured that they would come in.
Yes.
You know, the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
So you think investors are loath to come into this current climate?
I mean, but you had the latest one, 6 billion, was it?
600 million Maersk deal, that was
no, not Maersk.
one.
I'm not talking about Maersk.
Which
I'm
one?
talking about the oil company that happened just last week.
Oh, the Angola one.
Yes. So they moved away.
Yeah,
and then
Total Energy.
Yes, Total Energy.
Yeah.
And then they cited, you know,
we are not ready. We're not serious.
Yeah, so...
As a quick follow-up, what are some of the things that this... Because you're saying that despite all the travels, which has cost taxpayers money, Nigeria is still not an investor's destination. What are the immediate things that ought to be put in place by this administration? Because they're ready for business, and that people are interested in Nigeria as an investment destination. What are some of those key things that must happen?
Well, you have to get your policies right. That's the first thing. I mean, there is certain level of confidence that hasn't returned in the country that we thought would happen as soon as elections were over. Yeah. So we thought the president will handle, you know, because prior to the election, I think the Buhari administration succeeded in dividing the country. So we thought that the first thing anybody who would have, you know, mount the reins of leadership in Nigeria would do to unify the country, actually. But that hasn't happened. And then we've seen this disenchantment all over the place. Okay, so with people are also citing insecurity. It hasn't also reduced. Okay, with the hunger that we've cited, so purchasing power has gone. So if you're an investor, you are not doing any charity to anybody. So you are investing your money because you want to recoup your profit, your investment and make some profit. Then you are looking at your market, you are looking at the demand. Who is going to buy? What's their purchasing power? Purchasing power of Nigerians. Okay, our economy tanked from $470 in 2022. Currently, it's about, $470 billion. It's $253 billion. 470. Okay, so you are looking at that. What's the size of our market? Okay, what's the spending power? What is the size of our wallet? That's what an investor is looking at. So when they have all of this, I know we're talking about minimum wage. How much is it now? From $20, that's what it is. And then they are negotiating for something around $100 and the government isn't willing to do that. So who would want to invest in an economy where people don't have the capacity to pay? So I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, negotiating for $300. Yeah, it's more than $100. But in any case, Professor Adi, thank you for joining us on the morning show. Well, we will advise you, President Tinubu is preaching hope. So please stay back in the country of hope and let us embrace that renewed hope together. Don't be like the pastor who ran away because of bad dreams. Maybe you take the Daily Momodu option. You issue a statement to these dependents that they should stop disturbing you because you are trying to survive in Nigeria. So there are many options. Okay, thank you very much for joining.